Do you feel like you took a wrong turn in life? Welcome to Tomorrow's Motivations, where we talk with people who educate, motivate, and captivate you with inspirational stories. Here's Dontrell.
Thank you and welcome. Today I'd like to introduce Mr. Cory Norton. Cory graduated from Brigham Young University in exercise science. He is preparing to start Pharm D program at William Carey University. Cory served a mission in the Salt Lake City mission speaking Spanish. He is excited that he was able to build his home for his family. He lives with his wife, Allyson Norton, and their 3 boys, ages 7, 2, and 2 weeks old. Cory is a person who strives to do good in everyday life, and I'm excited to introduce him to you all today. All right, Cory, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Dontrell. I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, man, I am so excited. I can honestly tell you this has been an interview that I have wanted to do for quite some time. And for a disclaimer out there, one of the reasons is because you and I have known each other for, it's been a decade officially this year, either exactly 10 years or going on 11 years since we're in the 2020 new year. But it's been wonderful just to see what great things you've been able to do for yourself and how you've grown, just how life has changed, I think both of us in certain regards. It's just great.
Yeah, a lot can happen in 10 years, my friend.
It better. But you know what they say, time flies when you're having fun. It's hard to believe it's been that long as well.
I know. It's been, for the past 10 years, a lot of amazing things have happened, a lot of challenges. We all go through challenges, but just depends on how we handle those challenges and make sure we're enjoying the good times when they do happen,
Exactly. And that is honestly why your story to me is just honestly a personal favorite, because I learned a lot from you as well, especially during some challenging times back in the day, early on when we met. At that time, I was starting a new chapter with education in my life, and that was it was a challenge for me. I had left home and we met in the service of doing our church work for our church missionary work. And it was honestly a time that's just like, I can describe it only as a beautiful season of life.
Definitely a time where you can forget most of the troubles that the world can throw at you and focus only on a few things, mainly helping others. And also helping yourself become more like Jesus Christ and developing Christ-like attributes during that time. Yeah, it was definitely had its moments as well. Having to learn a new language, having to go up to random people and offer them a message about Jesus Christ, hoping that you wouldn't get rejected, but that happened quite a bit. But you learn to work through those trials, and like I said, it was a time for building ourselves up as well.
Amen, brother. And you most certainly helped me and giving me those good messages and helping me focus on what was most important was just ideal. And I probably wouldn't be even doing some of this work, even with the podcast and in my education field, had not been for that critical time that you chose to give me and have me be a part of your life. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, thank you, man. I mean, I learned a lot from you too. That's one thing, the people we choose to hang around, believe it or not, I guess it depends on how much we hang around them. We kind of develop their attributes. We become more like them. So I try to keep myself around good, positive people, Dontrell.
Likewise. That's a saying that's been in my family for a long time, just as far back as my grandmother said, be careful if you hang around certain people because you can pick up bad habits. So I've always been conscientious of that myself. At this point, if we haven't gotten our listeners like curiosity piqued, I don't know what else will. So I definitely want you to kind of just, I know we talked a little bit about you in our intro segment, but I want you to just kind of give a little bit about who you are and where you're from, and a little bit about, what some of your interests and focuses have been in your life as far as career.
Okay, yeah. So I'll start off just talking about my family real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I have a beautiful wife, Allyson. I have 3 boys, ages 8, 2, and 2 weeks. So, yep.
Congratulations.
We just had a new addition to our family. Thanks. And I guess I'll start off talking about when, I finished my mission trip.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got home off of my mission trip, I started school at Brigham Young University. Let's see, with about 1 semester left until graduation, I was married at the time, and my wife at the time, we decided to get a divorce. And at the time, we had my 8-year-old, his name's Maddox. And so she decided to move back to Mississippi. And so I decided to move back to Mississippi as well. And I didn't graduate, sadly. And so I took about 5 years off from school. I picked up a good job. I worked that job. It was a plastics manufacturing company. Yeah, so I worked there for about 5 years and moved up the ladder a little bit and decided, hey, it's time to go finish what I started. Mm-hmm. And so by that time, I was remarried. And also, I did something that I think I don't know how I did it. I decided during that 5 years that I was going to build a house, Dontrell. and I just got this urge one day. I was like, I want to provide something for my family. And so it was before I got remarried. And so I bought a piece of land. And I was like, okay, here it goes. I got 4 stakes and I marked off the 4 corners of the house. And the next day I was buying some posts to stick into the ground. And I built that house paycheck by paycheck. At the time, I decided to move on to the night shift. So I would work nights, get off at 8 a.m. and go to the home site and just build. It was like I was working like 16 hours a day with my regular job and then going out and building on the house. And it took about 2.5 years to complete, but it's done. And we lived in it for a while. Mm-hmm. And so after the house was complete, we moved out to Utah and I finished my bachelor's degree. We weren't out there very long because I only had a semester left. And whenever I was out there, I decided that I wanted to change my career. I didn't want to go back to what I was doing before, and so I applied to pharmacy school. Mm-hmm. I got in, and so now we sold the house, looking for another house to buy closer to the pharmacy school, and that's where we are now. We're just enjoying life as it comes.
And I know, like you said, a lot happens in 10 years, and it's easy to reflect and to see that, so much happened, and it seems like it was in such a compact part of life and time. But, there's a lot of lessons in that. I would say first, just for clarification, you are from the state of Mississippi, correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
And so when you were originally going to Brigham Young University in Utah, you were married to your first wife. Mm-hmm. So you were working on your degree because you had just decided, I'm going to do this. I want to be able to have like an earning potential with what this degree can provide. What was the subject matter you were first looking into?
So my undergraduate degree is in exercise science. Uh-huh. I feel that I was kind of groomed to be a physician. My father's a physician. I got to see a lot of cool surgeries. I grew up hearing about, medical related stuff my whole life. And so that I was originally planning on right before, actually I was about to take the MCAT exam. before moving back to Mississippi. And so, I just, I was going to be a doctor. I was going to be a physician. I spent a lot of time studying for that test, but, I never ended up taking it, and at that point, things just kind of started going downhill a little bit. I just moved back to Mississippi and I wouldn't say it was the first job that I was looking for, but it was probably the best job I could have got at the time.
Mm-hmm. So you always felt like you wanted to be a physician because you had that example with your parents growing up, but you had studied exercise science. So when did you come to that natural realization that you yourself wanted to follow that inner passion to go from the medium of exercise science to now it sounds like pharmacy school?
Yeah, so, I've always found the human body very interesting. I love learning about the human body, the different functions and systems, not just dealing with exercise, but the physiology with the human body as well. I also love chemistry. So I did get a minor. I got a minor in chemistry. And so I guess the transition came when I took this class. It was the last semester at BYU. It was actually an introductory class. It was an introductory class to bio and organic chemistry. And the professor there, we covered some topics that dealt with pharmaceuticals. Like we studied about like NSAIDs, which is like Tylenol, like pain reliever, what they do in the body, how they work. I was searching for something else to do, and I searched. I looked at physical therapy. I looked at pharmacy. I looked at a ton of different things. I just kept my options open. But when I took that class, it was seriously, I'm going to use the cliche. It was like a light bulb that went off in my head. I was like, okay, I love the human body. I love chemistry, pharmacy. And so that's how it happened. It was that class that I took that helped me just connect all the pieces together.
Wow. So it was just like all of a sudden you felt like what you had been searching for, you found right in that moment, in that class.
Yeah, I mean, you make it sound easy, like it was right in that moment. It was right in that moment. It was actually at the end of that class. It was the last bit of material that we covered in that class. But like I said before, man, I was searching.
Mm-hmm.
I was searching, keeping my options open. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And finally it was just like, that's it. That's what I'm going to enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, really like, why didn't I see this before? It's like, I know what I like to do, but sometimes it's hard to see, even if it's right in front of you.
Yeah. I often wonder why that is, because it's true. I feel like all of us go through that and have felt that before. Like, what am I here to do? What is my purpose? And sometimes it's so close in front of you, and then you just don't see it. And for me, it was because a lot of people in my life, whether it would be in academia or family relatives, they kind of have an idea where they want to steer you and want to tell you what to do, or give you the never-ending advice, which is fine. I mean, especially if you really go and ask for it. But at the same time, if you're still feeling that way, I think the most motivational thing about you and what you decided to do in that moment is you didn't stop. Like, you decided, I'm going to go back and finish this degree. I'm going to leave my comfort zone, leave this job that I have. You were building this home, and then you said, I'm going to just leave this and I'm going to go back to Utah, finish this last semester so I can really close that chapter. And all the while, it sounds like you were still soul searching, saying, is this right? Is this what I'm really supposed to be doing? I know I want to finish this. And then right at your last class, you get this, wow, this is actually what I want to do. This is actually that, like you said, that bright light coming up, that aha moment. Mm-hmm. And that's amazing. The only question I think that comes to my mind after that is, now that you've gotten accepted into the pharmacy school, after getting that aha moment and getting that confirmed within your own soul that that's what you're meant to do. How do you feel now that you've achieved a part of that goal that's leading to the career that you want?
It's good that you said that I've reached a part of that goal, because that's really what it is. I feel like when I set a goal, it just keeps getting longer, or it keeps extending and extending. It's good to, like with pharmacy school, yeah, I got in, but now I have to pass. now I have to pass. It's like never ending, but so all in little by little, I guess. But it feels great. I'm the kind of person that when I set my mind to do something, I finish it and I do a good job at it. And that's totally different from the way I was in high school. I was not a very good high school student, but whenever I started college, I just decided, okay, it's the time. It's the time to start doing good. It's the time to start putting forth my best effort. And that's really when you know that you're successful, is that if you know that you put forth your best effort, then you know you're successful. So I guess it's kind of like a state of mind. Success is. You put forth your best effort and you're okay with the outcome, then you know that you've been successful. Success these days is measured in many different ways. How much money you have, how many things you have. But I like to look at success in a different way, knowing that you are okay with what you've done. But yeah, it feels great to achieve part of my goal, or part of the ever extending goals that I set. And I guess some goals do end. Like, I finished the house. That was the end goal. And just the feeling, knowing that you did something, like building a house. Like, I didn't have any experience. I looked up YouTube videos on how to build a house, how to do the foundation, how to frame up the walls, put the roof on. It's because I pushed myself out of my comfort zone is the reason I feel the way I do about that.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that for you personally define success for yourself as being content with what you've done and doing the best that you can to achieve each goal that you set for yourself. That right there, I think, is the biggest takeaway that I think I can really gather from just your experience and how you live your life, because I wish I had had that kind of mindset early on in my own experiences, just to be okay with what I had been fortunate and able to achieve. And as far as you saying that you weren't a good student in school, I mean, as brilliant as you are with like chemistry, and I've seen you a little bit in action with numbers, I wish you had been like my classmate in either college or high school to get me through some of those test days through science and those classes.
Dontrell, I just decided to apply myself. That's all. And if I didn't understand anything, then I read it again, or I worked problem after problem after problem until I understood it. For example, with my house, I framed this one wall of my house, and it was a long wall. It was like 46-foot wall, and I put 3 huge windows in that house, and in that wall. Sorry, and I lifted the wall up with help. Of course, I couldn't. That's a big wall, but I realized, dang, all of these windows that I framed in this wall are like a foot too low. And, I had done something great, but I wasn't satisfied with it. So you know what I did? I put the wall back down. I tore most of the boards apart. And I reframed those walls because I wasn't satisfied with it, We have to be willing to better our situation by doing something. Or in that case, I would have been happier with the windows being a foot higher off the ground. And so I did an extra day's labor and I fixed it. I made it right. And I was happy with after that. It was hard. And I was really upset. I had to redo the work that I had already done. But you know what? It was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we really want to do something, I'm going to bring up an Elon Musk quote that if something is important enough to you, even if the odds are stacked up against you, if something is important enough, then do it.
So true. That is so true. I'm just in awe of just how disciplined you are and the mindset you had to be willing to completely start all over, knowing the limited time that you already had between your work and, what you were trying to do to help raise your family. And you said, it's not right, so I'm going to make it right. That is rare, my friend. And I hope you recognize that in yourself, that you have that as a gift that a lot of people would not necessarily be so quick to adhere to or to be willing to do. So that, congratulations. I give you the utmost respect for that.
Thanks, Dontrell. I appreciate it. But I agree that some people just can't do some things, whether it be by physical limitations or even mental limitations. There are some limitations that you can't work around.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can, then really, what I've learned is that anything's possible, man.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Anything is possible. If you had one thing that you would want to say, particularly that you would want to leave as a legacy to your friends, your family, the people in the community that you work with and serve, what would be that thing that you would want individuals to remember about Cory Norton?
Wow, only one thing.
Well, one thing that comes to mind, like that really you find to be the most important thing for you that you would want to be personally remembered.
I don't know if I could just name just one thing, but, I would want my family to know that I love them. I would want the community to know that I was a hard-working dude, that I never gave up, that I did things that were very hard and came out successful. There's a lot of other things. I want people to remember me as a follower of Christ, that I found happiness wherever I was. I could keep going on. There's just a ton of things. Probably just that I was a good person. I never meant harm on anyone. I always tried to look at situations from different perspectives. Never gave up. Never gave up on anything I put my mind to. That's probably the main thing.
Thank you so much, man. You are really an exceptional person, and I am thankful for your friendship, your guidance, just your brothership, like in my life. And I can honestly say that the world is a better place for having you in it, and anyone who's had the privilege of being in your path, I know, would definitely be able to say that they know that you love and that you are very much dedicated to being a man of your word. So thank you so much for sharing your story and meeting with me for this interview.
Yeah, no problem. I really enjoyed it. And likewise to you, my friend. You're a person to be looked up to as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Morrow's Motivational Podcast. Please join us again next time.
Wow, something is really different on the growler. Really different on the growler. Really different on the growler.